What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. A lot has happened today, actually. So we'll talk about some of the trades that happened today. What's the impact on that fantasy wise, dynasty wise? We'll get into some of that. We've also got two roster reviews to do today as well. So we'll get into that probably. So we'll pretty much we'll talk, we'll answer questions. We'll talk about what's going on for the first 30 minutes or so, and then for the last 30 minutes, we'll do these two roster reviews and then answer any last questions y'all got. But what is good, everybody? What's going on after this week 6? How'd it go for some of you? For me, it wasn't a great week. I won about half my matchups and lost half. So Sam, what up, Sam? Yeah, Vikings wind up getting Akers again. I mean, now that Aaron Jones is hurt, and we know, like, his injury could linger. We don't know exactly how long he might be out or if he's going to re-injure that or not. Just been banged up the last few years as he's getting older. So Vikings won another guy. I mean, Akers knows the system because he was there, right? So, I mean, it makes sense that they're just kind of getting somebody else. But, I do like Ty Chandler to be a little bit more valuable right now as well. Kev, what up, Kev? What's good, Marty? What up, Marty? It's a bloody war out there. It is. I feel you, bro. Bogey in the building. My team take looking championship caliber in the sub league. Amari to Buffalo helps. It does. It does. Yeah, so Amari going to Buffalo, I mean, that's great, right? We know that the Bills kind of need a wide receiver, right? We've been talking about it kind of all off season how Keon Coleman is just not that type of wide receiver. I mean, he's good, yes, but he's not wide receiver one or fantasy wide receiver one caliber as of yet, right? He's still young, he can still improve, but we know it's going to be a little bit hard, early on, and we've kind of seen that a little bit so far. So I mean, they wind up signing Samuel, and they just don't use him. They used him a little bit last game for the first time, but so Amari going to the Bills that gives, and Amari's been racking up targets. He just hasn't been hitting on them, right? Or touchdowns are being called back, big plays are being called back, right? The Browns' offense is just absolutely horrible. So now he goes over to Buffalo, and he could be very valuable now over there for Josh Allen. So I love that for Amari. That puts him in like the I want to say high end wide receiver 2-ish range. With upside, he's going to have some wide receiver 1 weeks. But most likely a solid wide receiver 2, but most likely a high end wide receiver 2. So we'll see what happens there. But dynasty wise too, I mean, a lot of people were off Amari like he wasn't scoring. So, do you have him on your bench in some of your leagues where you weren't able to get rid of him? He's going to cost a little bit more now if you do go and try and buy him from somebody. So if you don't have at least 3 injuries on your squads and you don't play in enough leagues, yeah, I feel that. I mean, a lot of injuries going on and nothing really we can do about it. Derek, what up, Derek? Frizzle, what's good? Frizzle, what's going on? What's up, bro? Robert in the building. Been averaging 150 a week. All right, that's nice. Had 3-game losing streak and finally PPR Superflex 2 QBs leagues. I feel that. That's good. I mean, I'm in one of my leagues where I'm competing. Um, I think I'm 2 and 4, but I have like a good squad. Like, I mean, where is it at? I won the championship last year. Like I got Josh Allen, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Brown, and Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. But I'm up there in like points for. I think I'm like second in points for, but I'm only 2 and 4. I'm getting basically everybody's best week. And then I've just got injuries, right? AJ Brown was hurt. I mean, Marvin Harrison's been kind of hit or miss. I mean, even Amon-Ra a little bit. So it's been rough in that one particular league, but what can we do? About half and half on leagues. Also, some banged up squads. Some are just holes because not enough moves to make. That's true too. I mean, sometimes there's just not a market out there, and especially nowadays where there's a lot of week to week stuff. And somebody on Facebook was was trying to get Rashid Rice and a first round pick for AJ Brown, and I'm like, he couldn't get it done, and he's like, is he bugging for trying to ask for a first on top of it? And yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a first on top of it, like. It's enough that Rashid Rice, AJ Brown are particularly very, very similar. However you want to rank them. But for me, they're pretty much equal when healthy. Obviously, Rice is not healthy right now. But he was kind of going off of what Keep Trade Cut was saying as far as the value is concerned. But as we know, if you're not playing well one game, or if you get injured, you start falling down, right? Those dynasty rankings, right? Puka is wide receiver 11 right now. I mean, he'll be back sooner than Rashi Rice, but we see how these players move in between these tiers, kind of up and down, and it differs for everybody. But yeah, sometimes there's just not a move to make, and you just have to choose, right? We talk about choosing the right pockets and time all the time. So you've got to choose the right time to buy or to sell a certain player, right? We don't want to buy at their peaks, right? I mean, Mike Evans wasn't great last game. It's probably not the smartest time to try and trade him. Do we trust any of the receiving options in Buffalo? No, no. I mean, the only Amari. I mean, now we've got Amari. That's the only thing we can trust. And Kincaid. I mean, he hasn't been great, but he's been good enough. But yeah, it's literally only Amari. I mean, Keon Coleman, he's got to catch a touchdown. Shakir, he drops in value now, also, right? Because now he drops with Amari going there. So, Khalil Shakir is going to get probably a little bit less looks as well. Daddy Matthews, what up? What's up, man? I have Cup, Godwin, London, Olave, Addison, Shaheed, and I'm looking for an upgrade. Who should I package out of them for Amari if you think Amari is smart to go for? Well, I'm gonna guess this is a redraft question, and guys, redraft dynasty. Tonight's a dynasty show, but you can ask redraft questions. There's no problem with that. Just be specific and let me know, especially when it comes to trades. Like, is it redraft or is it dynasty? This way, I can answer properly there. But I mean, if you're looking for an upgrade, I mean, I want to say upgrade Shaheed, but he's been pretty damn good this year. Olave has not been. So, can you combine two of those guys together between like Olave, Addison, and Shaheed, package them together to kind of cheer up to AJ Brownish? I was going to say Drake London, but you've already got him. Maybe a Nico Collins. I don't know what your record is, but if you can wait until Nico gets back, maybe you can go after a Nico. Garrett Wilson. I mean, I'm sure his value probably drops right now too, but I'd rather have him than kind of Olave at the moment. He's not doing much. I mean, Shaheed, we're just always hoping for that big catch, that big game. But Murray to the Bills was a solid trade, and I thought maybe Devontae was going to go to the Bills because they obviously need a wide receiver, but it winds up being Amari, so I'm good with that. Andre, what up, Andre? What should I be getting for JT? I'm getting some wild offers for him. I mean, what kind of offers are you getting for him? I mean, I would say he's worth a first. Well, to most people, he's probably worth a first. I mean, for me, he's kind of right on the cusp of worth a first. I'll spend a late first if I have the ammunition, if my team is constructed properly. I'm okay with spending that, but I would say an early second plus or at least a late first is what kind of JT's value is. You could argue more, but if you're pivoting off of him, do you take a first? You just take a straight up first? I'm okay with just taking a straight up first, especially if you're not, contending this year. Or can you just swap position, right? Can you go over to wide receiver from JT? Can you go after the Nico Collins who's hurt right now? Right? Can you go after the AJ Brown, Drake London, Puka, who's hurt right now, right? Garrett Wilson, DK, Devonta. Maybe you get a little piece on top of it. Are you rebuilding? Maybe you go for Rashi Rice, right? Are you not contending this year? So you've got plenty of options. Kevin O'Connell loves Cam Makers all the way back to when they drafted him. That's true. That is true. Song, what up, Song? Jesse, what up? What's up, man? I have Cup God. Oh, we did this one. My bad. Oh, we did. That was the Twitch one. I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, we got to that, Jesse. Let me know if you heard that. Otherwise, just rewind a minute or two. Robert, in one league, injuries has killed me at the wide receiver slot. Puka, Hollywood, Devonta, Nico, and I'm 3-3. Yeah, I mean, listen, that means you got a good squad. At least you're still able to hold it together with the injuries. So yeah, I mean, Amari is a good route runner. And we know Josh Allen could appreciate that obviously with Diggs when he was there. I mean, listen, I'm all for trying to go and get CD Lamb. I just still think it's going to be hard to get him. But yeah, I mean, throw out the offer for sure. Yeah, sure. Sure Shakir can be the deep threat, but what's the deep threat? Gabe Davis production? We don't want that, right? I mean, Shakir can be the deep threat, but that's not what we're looking for from Shakir, right? We want more guaranteed points. We don't want to guess which week we got to play him, which week he's going to score 1 point, and which week he's going to score, 25 points. Like some crazy bad offers. This dude offered me Downs and Andrews for JT and Kraft. Is his value this bad right now? No, I mean, people are just throwing shit out there as usual. Just send a trade back on what you think would be a fair offer, and then see what happens from there. I mean, usually this is how trades happen, right? Somebody sends out something that you don't like, and then you just send something back that you do like, and then boom, negotiations start. So see what he's got on a squad that you might want. Simp, what's up, Simp? In redraft, I give Devontae and Eckler for JT. Fair offer. I mean, do you want to do that right now? I mean, I don't think you need to do that. Like, I don't. Who's your other running backs? Like, I'm okay with just playing Eckler and keeping Devontae, depending on what the rest of your team looks like. Just depends on what your team looks like. But yeah, Jets. I mean, Jets getting Devontae Adams. We know they've been talking about this for a while now. We know it's probably bound to happen. Now it finally does. So what does that mean for Devontae Adams? Is he all of a sudden a bona fide wide receiver one again? I don't know. Is he more of a high end wide receiver two with, of course, the wide receiver one upside? He'll have his weeks, but with Garrett Wilson there as well. I mean, Devontae. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to force feed either of these guys now. Can they still get 10 targets each? Yeah, sure. So I think they can both be kind of high end wide receiver twos. I don't know if they can necessarily be wide receiver. Well, we know Garrett Wilson hasn't even been able to be necessarily what we wanted him to be or what we drafted him to be, that real wide receiver one. So does Devontae give us some of that production? Just think it's going to be more high end wide receiver two ish, production. He'll have his wide receiver one weeks, but everybody else on the Jets, at least receiving core, is pretty much done for, including Alan Lazard, but he'll still catch a touchdown here or there, make a couple plays here or there, but it's not going to be anything consistent, I don't think, at this point now, especially if both of those guys are healthy in Devontae and G Willie. So if you were holding on to Devontae, I mean, boom, now he's relevant again. If you're holding on to Garrett Wilson, you're like fuck, like now this guy just lost more value. He's not going to finish as a wide receiver one. So, in Dynasty, he's going to automatically fall down rankings, which he already has. Like, I mean, Nico's ahead of him, Marvin's ahead of him, Brian Thomas Jr. is ahead of him, right? Drake London, even a hurt Puka is ahead of Garrett Wilson right now on Keep Trade Cut, and he's just barely over Jaden Reed, DK Metcalf, Devonta Smith, Rashid Rice. I mean, when he's healthy, he's up all the way up there. So Simp said RBs is Saquon, and that's it. So you got no other RBs. Wide receivers are AJ Brown, BTJ, London, Stefan, and Pickens. I mean, I was gonna say, can you trade Pickens instead? I feel like I want a better upgrade, I guess. I want a better feeling than JT. And he's hurt. I mean, he's been good. Scoring tutties. He's scoring what about 100-ish yards a game, but now he's hurt for the last 2 games. I just don't know if I want to spend that on JT. Players I want that he has are Gibbs and Amon Ra. He's tanking, and I want to move JT. So if he's tanking, I mean, would he buy JT? Like, can you pay JT in a second for Gibbs, or JT and another player for Gibbs? Can you somehow get Amon Ra? What do you need to do to get Amon Ra right now? Problem is that guy's tanking, so he doesn't really have any incentive at all to go out and buy JT and lose some of his premier assets like Gibbs or Amon Ra, unless he'll take picks for him, right? I mean, can you give him JT and it's got probably going to cost a first on top of JT to get Amon Ra, or a second plus a second and another player, or is there a team out there that's higher in the standings that maybe has a young wide receiver maybe that's not playing right now or that's hurt, right? I mean, you should be trying to buy Nico Collins right now. You should be trying to buy Puka right now. You should be trying to buy, a JSN who hasn't fully kind of like broken out yet. You should be trying to buy Romo Dunze, who hasn't been, great yet over there. A Marvin Harrison Jr., right, who hasn't played up to par yet, right? Those are the guys that you can try and move for, and maybe there's a contending team at the top that will take that Jonathan Taylor production and give up, one of these rookies that are not really producing how we want right now or what we expected. So I'm good with going hero RB simp. Andre said any trade ideas. I think I just gave you some. Let me know what you think, Andre. Robert said Raiders fan here. Maybe I'm biased, but I believe Devontae was worth more than a fourth round conditional draft pick that possibly second round. Yeah, I mean, you got to think about what other guys went for, um, what other older players went for. You've got to think also that he just wasn't going to play another game for the Raiders. Like they had no choice. They didn't have really much leverage in the deal. Like he just wasn't going to play. So to just get something for him, it is what it is. But we see that a lot. Simp said Mostert, Tracy, Braylon are my running backs with Jonathan Brooks on IR. Okay. Do I like Knicks over Geno in Superflex? No, I'm not. No, Geno's been throwing the ball a ton. Um, they're playing Atlanta, but no, I'm still. I mean, 52 pass attempts, 40, 56, 44. Like Geno is throwing the rock. 312, 284, 395, 327. Like now he's not killing it in the touchdown department. He's throwing about one a game, but he's also throwing, interceptions too. Um, every once in a while he can run a little bit, but the thing with Knicks is like they're down, so he's got to throw to. I mean, he's obviously not throwing as much, but two tutties each of the last two games, to one interception. Giving you a little bit of rushing upside as we saw last game, 6 for 61. Only 8 for 9 yards the game before that, 5 for 3 yards the game before that. So, and then the first few games of the season, 35, 25, 47 rushing yards. So, and I mean, he's playing New Orleans. Like, I'd rather take the shot on Geno. Give me Geno. If you had Lamar and JD 5, would you trade Lamar for Drake London 1 for 1? Uh, I mean, if it's redraft, yeah. I mean, if you've got a quarterback to play already, I probably want more than London though. I probably want more than London. I'm probably starting from the top, right? Chase, JJ, CD, and then just working your way down until you hit London. Maybe that's all you can get because there's only one team that needs a quarterback. So maybe you have to go after Drake London. Maybe you get like a backup running back thrown in with it. Am I trying to get Bub Means? I mean, if you can grab a couple shares, I mean, I'm not actively just going out there and trying to buy him. Do I trade with that particular team and then like just have Bub Means as a throw in that trade and just put him in there? But the main goal is, getting someone else on that team or someone else for that trade. So, but I'm not just, throwing picks or anything out there to just go and get Bub Means necessarily. Have highest points in the league, sitting at 3-3 every time I play is the best game. Yeah, I feel that that's happened to me in a couple leagues, so sometimes it happens. People I can get in the JT package or Bucky, Bigsby, Pittman, and Smitty. I don't love any of those guys. I'll take Smitty, I guess. If you can get Smitty and Bigsby or Smitty and Bucky, like I'm okay with that. Monty is another guy I can add. Okay. If you have to, I mean, I don't know necessarily if you have to. Why not swap for Hassan Reddick and give him his contract? I don't know. I don't know. Athlete, what up? What's Down's trade value in a start 8? Flipping him for a mid-second? Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with taking a second. I mean, if it's a start 8, it's shallow. You're probably never ever starting him. Just give me the pick. Unless he kind of holds name value in your league and maybe, you can trade him or to try and tier up. But otherwise, I'll just take the second. Just depends on your league economy, I guess. So if GMs in your league like picks, like I'll gladly take the pick. If they're more player driven and maybe they're Josh Down fans or NC fans, Colts fans, I mean, you could trade downs, then do that. But otherwise, I'll just take the pick and the start 8. Song says CMC, Nico Waddle, Walker Rice, Kincaid, Stevenson. Picked up Mason off waivers. Still 4-2. Okay, that's good. I got a trade offer for Walker for Neighbors and Ingram. I dropped Rice for Mooney. So you trade Walker and you get Neighbors and Ingram? I mean, yeah, I'll take that. I mean, you don't necessarily need Ingram. But you got no running backs, I guess. All you've got is Stevenson and Mason. Can you get a running back in return instead of Evan Ingram, maybe? Like, you have Kincaid, so I'm fine with just playing him there. Or can you take that trade and then trade Kincaid for another running back? I'd be looking to try and do something like that probably. Roberto, what's up? Would you rather have J.K. Dobbins or Evans? I'm 4-2. My other RBs are Walker and Monty. Receivers are Tyreek, Olave, JSN, and Mooney. I mean, I'd like to have Evans on the squad. I mean, he's going to give you some of those boom weeks, just like Tyreek, right? Olave hasn't been great. JSN had the one big game, but otherwise, he's a good PPR guy. Mooney is going to be, kind of hit or miss, but he's having some good games as well, and he's had some already. So that's the tough part. Is like I'd rather kind of have Evans, but you've got Walker and Monty, so you don't necessarily need J.K. Dobbins. Like I feel like you kind of need Evans on this team. So I think I might just keep Evans. Pull up Dobbins real quick. 25 carries last game. I mean, 96 yards and a tutty. Still RB 15 on the season. So I mean, he's got like replaceable ish production. Is he going to have some big weeks? Yeah, sure. But can I get like a cheaper, Chase Brown or something like that instead? Going to the Falcons Seahawks this weekend. Nice, Phil. Awesome. Awesome. My first game of the season. All right, that's sick. Hopefully, Drake London and Kyle Pitts do us well. Song said Purdy versus Chief or JD5 versus Carolina. I'm not going against JD5 right now. I mean, he's just putting up points. No reason to do that. We know he's got the upside. Purdy's been good, but nah, still going JD5. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate you, Grizz. Do you believe in Dallas to bounce back? Yeah, Dallas will be fine. I mean, we know how they do. We know how they do. Sometimes they have these bullshit games. Tolbert's been good when he's been on the field and when he's been playing. So yeah, I like Tolbert. He's a good flex play. I mean, even last game, I mean, he had 5 targets, 4 catches for 43 yards. The game before that, without Cooks, I mean, 10 targets, 7 catches for 87 yards. So yeah, I think he's solid, especially with no one else there. Devontae went to the Jets already. Amari went to the Bills, so it's not like there's some receivers on the market that maybe they can get. I mean, it could just wishful thinking, but maybe T. Higgins. Bengals get something out of it. Fantasy team is trying to send me Evans for JK, even less deep at RB than wide receiver, so that's why I'm iffy. Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, you only got to start 2 running backs, depending on what your other running backs are. Like I said, maybe you ask for something running back in return, even if it's a backup. You got Kelsey and Allen. Okay. See, I mean, you'll be fine. Whittington or Watson this week? Sheesh. Um, says Whittington's dealing with a shoulder issue, so we kind of got to be waiting on that. I mean, Whittington's a good PPR guy. He's a safe guy. He's probably getting you, 5 to 7-ish catches for like 50 to 90 yards, right? Hopefully you get a touchdown in there. Christian Watson, on the other hand, a very much lower floor, but a higher upside. I mean, only 4 targets last week, but 3 for 68 and the tutty. Going against Houston, are they going to have to score? So if you want to play safe, it's Whittington. If you want to go for the upside, it's Watson. But Watson hasn't really had a huge game yet. So if you want to go Whittington, you can probably feel pretty safe, especially against Vegas. Frank, what up, Frank? We're about to get into these roster reviews right now. Thoughts on this guy? Offer me AJ Brown, Pollard, and a 25 first. I give JT and oh yeah, bye bye. You can have JT in London if I'm getting AJ Brown, Pollard, any and the 25 first. So yes, easily give me the first there. AJ Brown in London, relatively similar in value. AJ Brown a little bit older, but that's okay. You're getting a 25 first, which is always good. And you're getting a running back in return that you can play that is putting up points. So, value wise, yeah, JT is valued a lot higher than Pollard, but you're getting the points for it and you're getting that first. So, yeah, I'll take that easy, Andre. Go accept that quick before they take that back. Both teams had their bye revenge game, first place in division on the line. A lot for Hawk to play for. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel that too. Feel that too. All right. Let me pull up team we got here. Let's see if I can zoom in on this a little bit so y'all can see everything I'm looking at here. And let's go over this particular league. Now, this is only a 8-team league. So very, very different format here. And it is a super flex. It's a start 10, but it's only 8-team, right? So it is still relatively shallow. But we've got Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Kirk Cousins here at the quarterback position. We've got Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon, Alvin Kamara, Jalen Wright, CD, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, JSN, Godwin, McConkey, Downs, Devontae Adams, George Kittle at tight end, and looks like we got no first for 2025, but we've got all the rest of our picks here. They're currently 5-1. And looks like to me, I mean, you just have a lot of running backs starting, right? That's like the first thing. Now, it is relatively shallow, and these running backs are good running backs. I mean, Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon, Alvin Kamara, and you've got some good wide receivers too. But and you're what, second place is 1-6-0 team. So, I mean, you're doing fine because you've got a ton of guys. But just like any other shallower type of format, can we condense some of these guys? Can we consolidate some of these wide receivers and running backs in order to tier up at a position? In this case, will be wide receiver, possibly quarterback, but I might leave quarterback kind of where you're at. And can you transfer some of this running back value into the wide receiver position to tier up at wide receiver? Right, because if you're just looking for points and you're trying to win this season, like, you'll be probably fine exactly where you are right now, right? But if we are gonna, prepare our team for the future and still win, then maybe we can move some of these RBs for some top-notch wide receivers, um, and put some packages together. Like, you've got players that people might want, right? You still got Devontae Adams down there. Right, but Lad McConkey, JSN, DJ Moore, is somebody going crazy now that Devontae's back with Aaron Rodgers right now? Can you combine him in a trade or any of these other guys? Matter of fact, JSN, McConkey, DJ Moore, like, all these guys are tradable. The only guy I wouldn't trade is CeeDee Lamb in this particular format, and I probably like to keep George Kittle. Um, I think everybody else is pretty much up for grabs. Like, I'm okay with getting rid. Like, if you can move Bijan or Gibbs for, what, Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Malik Neighbors. If you can come up with any kind of trade to get that done, that would be great. But we can take a look at some of these other, and quarterback, I would stay where I'm at. And the reason why I say that is because it's only a 8-team league, right? So that means there's 16 starting quarterbacks, and there's probably only maybe 5-ish real difference makers, and everybody else is kind of in the same bucket, the same tier, right? So I'm okay with just kind of playing it. I don't want to say playing it safe. I'm okay with taking the hit at quarterback and having an older Kirk Cousins because he's going to have some great weeks. He's a passing quarterback. He's going to throw for good yards. He's going to throw for touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, we don't know what the heck we're getting out of Trevor Lawrence, but you have at least a decent QB and he's in that top 15 range. So you're absolutely fine, just playing it that way. As long as your other positions are taken care of and you've got, good roster construction. So in a nutshell, that's what I'd be trying to do with this team. And we can look at some of these other teams and see if there are possibly any trade. I mean, look at this team, Brees Hall. This team is 3-3 right now, right? Do they want to possibly make a push? Brees Hall, Josh Jacobs, I mean, hasn't been great. Joe Mixon, I mean, he's been hurt, but he's been good. Aaron Jones is down. Maybe this guy needs a running back, right? Can we move some of these running backs or a running back or some kind of package and get a Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, a Tyreek Hill maybe even, right? I mean, he's not putting up points right now. You're in good position at 5-1, so you can kind of wait on a Tyreek Hill. I mean, in this format, I'm fine having an older guy like that, right? Can you give him Alvin Kamara and DJ Moore? Or Alvin Kamara and a JSN, Alvin Kamara and a Brandon Ayuk, Alvin Kamara and a Godwin, Alvin Kamara and a McConkey. I mean, I'd like to probably keep Godwin if you could. I mean, obviously he's playing great this year. Does it have to be Devontae Adams? Do you have to give up Saquon instead? Do you have to give up Gibbs or Bijan? Right. Obviously, I'd be asking for a plus back, or I'd be asking for a Malik Neighbors or a Justin Jefferson instead. Um, Marvin Harrison, that would be kind of just in your pocket. Like you're not going to play him really with the other guys that you have here, depending on who you give up. But, Brian Thomas Jr., right? I mean, he's a good upcoming guy, right? Do you have to give up, a Lad McConkey and a Devontae for him? He's a guy that's just going to kind of grow with you. Let's look at some of the other teams here. This team is 2-4. They've got a few QBs. I mean, you could try and upgrade to like a Jaden Daniels. But again, this team, I mean, maybe you give up some of the young guys. JSN, McConkey. Mm. Amon Ra hasn't played like out of this world lately. Can you try and get Amon Ra? Maybe it's a DJ Moore and a Brandon Ayuk. Just throwing things out there. I mean, look, the 6-0 team. I mean, even though it's your straight competition, I mean, Nico Collins. I mean, this guy could use a running back. James Cook is hurt. Christian McCaffrey's hurt. Mason's a little banged up. I mean, Chase Brown is doing well. Tracy's doing okay for right now. Ford just got hurt. I mean, he might be looking for a running back. Can you move one of these guys for a hurt Nico Collins? Right, you're gonna have to wait a few weeks, but can you put a package together for one of these running backs and a wide receiver to go and get a Nico or a Jamar Chase? But I figure that's gonna be a little bit harder. Let's keep looking. Puka. I mean, this team's 2-4. Can you go get a Puka? Right? Does this person like DJ Moore, JSN? I mean, McConkey, even Ayuk. Like I know it might be hard to tear up at QB. Like I said, I'm okay with kind of where you're at for now. This team's 4-2. Can you try and get a Garrett Wilson for McConkey and JSN. I mean, maybe this guy's down on Garrett Wilson. Maybe he's not. I mean, he's got some running backs, so he doesn't really need that. He's got QBs. Let's look at the 0-6 team. What can we take from there? Can we go out and get Kyler Murray? Maybe we can upgrade there. Doesn't really have wide receivers you really kind of want to go after unless you can get like a Deontay Johnson for a second, maybe. I don't really love that. And then there's this team, 2-4. AJ Brown. Can you somehow upgrade to AJ Brown? JSN and McConkey. EJ Moore, like whatever it takes. A running back. They've got JT, HN. I mean, they've got decent running backs, but so I mean that's pretty much the whole league. So that's what I would be looking for. That's what I would be looking for there. Let me just see if there's anything else that he mentioned here. He said he wants to upgrade his QB position. That's his main thing. But I don't think you necessarily need to. Like it's a shallow type of league. So a real upgrade is going to be a top 5 quarterback. Um, and if we're looking at some of the teams here, like they might not be giving up. Nobody might not be wanting to give up a quarterback like that. Like I mentioned Kyler Murray, like that's one team maybe because that team is 0-6, so they might take maybe a Trevor Lawrence and something else. I mean, there's just not a lot of upgrade out there. Jaden Daniels, I know we mentioned that too. Maybe Jordan Love, right? Those could be some options. And just look at the teams and evaluate. Okay, what does this team need? Does they need a running back? They need a wide receiver. Yeah, there's not a ton out there. There's not many QB options. So those are the few. So you can kind of look into those two. And the picks, I mean, in this particular league where it's this shallow, only 8 man, I mean, there's not much like the picks really aren't worth that much. I mean, you can only start so many players. So maybe, the first few picks in the draft are really going to mean much. All right, let me get back to some of these questions here, and then we'll go into the last roster review here. Let's see where did I leave off. Roberto said, "Would you do J.K. and Olave for Evans and Brian Thomas Jr.?" Yeah, I'll take Evans and Brian Thomas Jr. Yes, I would, Roberto. You can send your roster review. I'll put it in the chat here. And we haven't really done them in a while. I've been doing them on the side a little bit. And I basically spend like 20 minutes with you. I'll pull you in like not live, but the back door here where we wouldn't be live, but we actually be able to talk and see each other. And I'll kind of go through exactly kind of what I did here and give you like real trades to actually make. And I spend a little bit of time with you. But I'm putting the email in the chat. So email the roster review. I'll send you something back asking you a couple questions about the league and all that. George, what up, George? Should I trade Mason and JMO for Achane and Pickens? 4-2 other RBs are Barkley and Gibbs. I mean, I kind of want Achane, right? Mason's still a question mark. That's still right. We don't know exactly when CMC is coming back. We don't know what role he's gonna kind of play. Mason's a little bit banged up right now as well. So I mean, Pickens, JMO, they're both kind of hit or miss guys. We don't know if Russ is going to be the starter or not. Does that elevate Pickens, right? Achan's got that hit or miss kind of upside, and he's been awesome when Tua is the quarterback, and hopefully Tua comes back here shortly, within the next week or two. So I'm okay with Achan and Pickens side. I mean, you do have Barkley and Gibbs, so I mean, what's the point of this trade to begin with? Like, I don't know if there's necessarily a point to this particular trade. You've got Barkley, you've got Gibbs, and then you've got Mason and Achane where you can throw either in the flex, or you can use to trade bait. I'd rather do Mason and JMO for an Amon-Ra St. Brown, and AJ Brown, a Puka that should be coming back soon. I think I'm looking more of like to upgrade. Like, I just don't feel like you're upgrading your team at all necessarily by doing this. So, I would more look to just upgrade either at wide receiver or at running back, and I probably prefer wide receiver. Jaden Reed, yep, that's another one you could kind of go after. You could go after as well, Jay. Moose, my boy, what's up, man? Who do you have going in the late first round this year? You're talking about for like rookie drafts, or you're talking about the actual like NFL rookie draft? Who's going in the late first round? Probably see some receivers. I don't know if we'll see a running back, possibly with the way that Genti's playing, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked that far into it. I mean, we've got still plenty of time left. You've got your main guys, right? Like Genti, you've got McMillan, um, you've got Luther Burden, you've got for me at least, Emeka Egbuka, you've got a bunch of other running backs. I mean, I don't know how it's all gonna shake out, but we've got at least like a top 3-ish, top 4 guys. We don't know if Travis Hunter is gonna play wide receiver or not. There's still a lot to go. You need some saving for your roster. I feel you. Jackson, what up, Jackson? I got Kittle, CMC, and Debo. I'm 49er heavy. Yeah, that's for sure. I could trade Debo and Marv for CD, or who is someone you would trade for Debo straight up? I mean, Debo, I never liked having Debo, but when he's healthy and he plays, like he's good. But again, there are a couple other guys there. He did have that one huge play last game, which was kind of like fluky a little bit. But I'll take CD. I mean, Marv is kind of hit or miss. I'll take CD. Give me CD. CD, Godwin, Amari, Christian Kirk. Yeah, I'm okay with that, Jackson. I mean, Christian Kirk, I don't know what the heck's going on over there, but yeah, I'm okay with that, getting CD. We're not concerned with Puka's quarterback play. If you are looking towards the future, you could say, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with Matt Stafford, how long he's going to be there, but we've got plenty of time for that, right? We're looking at particularly this season, and we're looking at an asset in Puka that's going to retain his value. He's going to retain his value. So you can trade him after this season if you want, before Stafford ever leaves, before anything ever happens. Like, that's the beautiful thing about some of these players, is that they'll hold certain value. So if they're going to hold value, like, that you're good and you can pivot off of that whenever it is that you want. Don't wait till it's too late and wait for Stafford to go. Like, if that's your concern for it, then you just take advantage, right? We at the right times, attack at the right times. Weak as hell at QB and wide receiver looks like good RB class though. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We say the same shit every year, and then you know, different guys wind up turning up. I mean, you've got who Milrow, you've got Cam Ward, you've got Beck, you've got I mean a couple good quarterbacks, right? I mean, we're always looking for that upside. So I suspect like Cam Ward might be one of like the first quarterbacks, we're talking about as far as dynasty is concerned, especially from what we've been seeing from JD5. So I sold Mar for 325 first and a second. Yeah, that's I mean, what's the format, let me say? I mean, because if you're I mean, even still, it probably doesn't matter. We're getting 325 first and a second. Like, yeah, I'll take the picks. But what's the format? And as a super flex, is it one QB? super flex, like I'm taking it 1 QB. It might be a question mark depending on the format and the rest of my team, maybe, and the league economy, right? What can I do now that I have these 325 first? Am I stuck making all of those picks, or can I actually make some moves and tier up? 12 team super flex. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that. You're good, Moose. Jackson said my team would be Allen, CMC, Achan, Najee, Tracy, CD, Godwin, Amari, Kittle. I like it, Jackson. Just make the trade. Give me CD. Well, we did know it was a little bit heavier at QB, but was it? And is it not going to be this year? Now, the talent, I would say, yes, was a lot better, this particular season. I mean, for sure. Um, and QB might be exactly kind of what's lacking, but I think there's a pretty good and clear top three-ish wide receivers. And there's a clear top one running back as of right now. But we'll see a few more. We'll see a few more start. He's an Intel machine. Yeah, well, we know what the NFL likes. I mean, Anthony Richardson can't hit the side of a barn, but he's still out here, you know, quarterbacking and is one of the best assets and upside plays like at the quarterback position. So I mean, again, there's still plenty of time, and then depending where he goes as well, like that'll play a factor too. So, and that just the market is going to be there, regardless. The market is going to be there, so you can take advantage. Again, right? It's not always about the player. It's about the value there. Use the picks and a move for a stud. Yeah, I feel that. Listen, I traded Alvin Kamara for like a 26 first, and I took the 26 first and combined it with two other firsts, and I went and bought, I think it was Jamar Chase or CD Lamb. I think it was CD in that particular one. Zach Ertz or Ingram? Probably Ingram. I mean, Ingram played good last game. 10 targets. I mean, going against New England, and then you've got Ertz, who is just all right. Yeah, we're playing Ingram. Playing Ingram. And give me a minute. I'll pull up the other roster review that we are going to do here. And this one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is a start 8 on offense. This is a 12 team. No, it's not. Is it? No, it is an 8 team. Dang, another 8 team? Am I bugging? This league is called. All right, I got it. Boom. And it looks like we are right here at the top 4 and 2. Dynasty Daddy says a contender. I'm pretty sure this is the roster. Let's make sure. Yep, this is it. Richardson can hit a barn. I don't think so. Chopped up. Anything I can do with this team that can improve it? Lamar, A-Chain, Canaan, AJ Brown, Cup, Pitts, Reed, Tech. I mean, really? I mean, you've got all studs at all positions. I mean, just a matter of luck almost at that, at this point. Yeah, I mean, you got all top guys. I mean, can you upgrade Pitts possibly? I mean, yeah, if you can kind of maneuver some kind of package. But I mean, you're fine kind of exactly where you are. Ray Davis, Vidal, or Wright. My RBs are a mess. I mean, it could be Ray Davis with the way, if Cook is that injury lingers. Vidal could be as well if what's his name goes down. If JK goes down, who he hasn't known to be healthy, like we don't know. You should be rostering all of those guys, really. Same thing with Wright. Same thing with Wright. Right, let's take a look at this team here. We've got Jalen Hurts. So this is a one QB. All right, Jalen Hurts, awesome. You don't need to upgrade that. You've got a top quarterback. Bijan, JT, Brooks, Alvin Kamara, Jordan Mason, Jalen Wright, Zach Moss, Ray Davis, Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, DK, Jordan Addison, Deontay, Shakir, Leggett, Kirk, Juju, Ferguson, Kraft, Komet. Looks like we've got a few first round picks. We've got a total of 3 first round picks and a couple thirds. We've got an extra 2026 first. Okay, that's good. All right, so we've got like some first. You've got Bijan and JT. Got Alvin Kamara with that as well. Jordan Mason. So you're pretty much okay at running back here too. You are 4-2. I mean, nobody's really running away with it right now. So really, the question is, how can we upgrade now from Devonta Smith and DK Metcalf, and Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor? Looks like we're starting 3 running backs and then 3 wide receivers. The way that I guess your best players per se, but we can start an extra wide receiver. We can do 4 wide receivers and only 2 running backs. And you're fine at tight end with Ferguson. So you've got 3 first round picks sitting there. And I would be trying to move them basically right now. Devonta and a first, DK and a first. Do I have to give up a Jordan Mason? Do I have to give up a Jonathan Brooks? I'm fine with giving up those guys. Don't be afraid to pay. Can you go out and get the CD Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson? Let's go down the list here. A Nico Collins that's injured. Can you get a AJ Brown, a Drake London, a Puka Nakua? Right? You want to get hammers in this particular format, and I kind of pretty much stop it right there, almost at Puka. So that's basically what 12 wide receivers. JJ neighbors you have already, so 10 other wide receivers basically. Well, not even because I wouldn't want to go out and get Marv actually right now either. So where does that leave us with 8, 9 wide receivers basically? I need one of those top guys. So what can I use? You've got Deontay on the bench. You've got Addison on the bench. So that's kind of the mindset that I'm thinking here with this particular squad. And we're gonna go through all the teams so we can see kind of where there might be a trade to be had. And let me just go back to what he said here. It's the first. Okay, so this is the first year pushing for a championship. Awesome, great team long term. Yeah, I mean you've got some wide receivers. You just want to get the core best wide receivers that you can because you're fine with Hurts and you're fine with Ferguson. Like I wouldn't really touch those positions right now. That's pretty much everything he said there. So if we are looking at some of these other teams here, and because it's so shallow, everybody's still particularly in it. There's nobody that's like out of it right now where it's like, okay, I've got to like put in rebuild mode. In a league like this, you should never have to be in a rebuild mode. But yeah, his perfect example is like Puka. I mean, this guy could probably use a running back. I mean, you've got a few guys here. JT, Kamara, Mason, Brooks. Um, this guy's got Justin Jefferson. He's got Puka Nakua. Those would be 2 targets, right? Can I get Justin Jefferson for maybe Jonathan Taylor and Devonta Smith? And it could be DK. It could be Jonathan Brooks instead. It could be Kamara instead. I mean, depending on what this guy wants. Like looks like he's trying to stay with some young wide receivers, but Puka is hurt right now. DJ Moore is kind of hit or miss. So, you should be able to, if you're giving up a running back and Devonta Smith or a DK, you should be able to possibly make something happen. and you've got first. Like, you're gonna have to pay up because it's a shallow league. So don't be afraid if it has to be like a JT, DK Metcalf, and a first. Like, that's actually might be what it costs in this particular league. The way that the format is. But yeah, those will be guys I'm looking at there. Let's look at the next team. Jamar Chase. How can I get my hands on Jamar Chase if that's possible? This guy could use some running back help. James Cook hurt, Brian Robinson hurt, and a bunch of backups basically. Does it cost me Bijan to go get Jamar Chase? I'm okay with that. You still got JT, you still got Brooks, you still got Kamara, you still got Mason, right? We'll be looking at Jamar Chase from here. And that's probably it. I'm not really, we don't need quarterback. We don't necessarily need tight end. Can you get a Trey McBride maybe instead? I mean, if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay, how can I get Amon-Ra St. Brown? This guy's got a hurt Pacheco. Maybe he can use a Jonathan Brooks. He's got Chuba down here. He needs some wide receiver help too. So you give him a Devonta Smith and a Jonathan Brooks and a first. Does that get you to Amon-Ra? That's who I'd be looking at for this team. Let's see. Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's been injured, right? Can you snag away a cheetah for maybe a does this guy need a running back? You could use a running back. Joe Mixon, Devon Achan. I mean, some of these guys been injured a little bit. You give up a Devonta and a JT. And again, it could be any one of these, any combination, but this is what I'm trying to do. Like, you got Jordan Addison, you got Deontay here too. Do you have to throw those guys in a trade? I mean, they don't matter in this particular format necessarily. So throw those guys in the trade on top also if you need to. But these are the top wide receivers that I'm looking to go get. This guy's got CeeDee Lamb. Can we somehow go out there and get CeeDee Lamb? He could probably use a top running back as well. I mean, and you've got plenty of them. So AJ Brown. Can we go get AJ Brown? This guy's 4-2. So maybe he doesn't want to give up AJ Brown, but maybe he will if you give him, DK and AT. I mean, Jordan Addison, Deontay. You can throw anything you want in here. This guy's wide receivers are not really producing. The last team's got Nico. Perfect. Another a hurt Nico. This guy's 2-4. A hurt Christian McCaffrey and old Derrick Henry. I mean, can you give this guy some wide receivers? And you take a Nico. So DK and a running back. That's what I'd be looking at from all these teams here. I'd really only be looking to upgrade wide receiver. You've got first round picks on top of it. You have plenty of ammunition, so go buy what you need to if you can. Again, it might be hard because the shallow league, a lot of these teams are, still think that they could be in it and probably still will be in it because of how shallow it is. So, some people might be reluctant to make some moves, but that's how I would do it. Go through each of those teams and just like that. Stonks, what's up, Stonks? What side wins? JT Diggs, Mason for B Rob Amari and Ken Walker. JT Diggs, Mason, B Rob Amari, Ken Walker. Probably JT Diggs and Mason. I mean, Mari hasn't produced, but now he got traded, so that could be huge. I mean, K9 when he's healthy it could be huge. B Rob too. That's tough. I mean, I'm okay with either side. It's roughly the same exact thing. I mean, pick your poison. It's more of a I don't think it makes the team better at all. It's a lateral trade that we call it. So it's not even worth probably to do that. Just traded DJ Moore for Cup and Ramondre. I'm good with that. That's a good trade, Damo. I just acquired a 1 in 5 dynasty team. I'm thinking rebuild. Do I have the leverage given I'm selling to contender? Yeah, I mean, listen, contenders are going to give up players, are going to give up picks, especially when they want to win and they're chasing that win. They're chasing that bye week. They're chasing that championship. So you have the leverage to a degree. And then they kind of depending on their situation, right? I mean, what team has Puka? What team has Rashid Rice, right? What team has some of these injured players that might need some production right now? What teams have younger players that are not producing right now, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream. So, you can attack that way. Just go look at those teams. Look at the bottom teams. Who can you well, I mean, you're not looking at the bottom teams if you are a bottom team necessarily per se. But look at the top teams. What injured guys do they have? What points do you have on your team that you can give up? You want to acquire as many assets as you can, as many draft picks as you can. Not necessarily to make all those picks, but you can use them for trades. So that was Dynasty Daddy, dynastydaddy.com. Just type it right in. You can put in your sleeper name. It will bring up your leagues, and you can go to your league. And it's, like you saw on here, it's telling you what they think. If you're a contender, if you're a rebuilder, if you're a fraud, it gives you kind of ranks for it. But yeah. What is Addison worth in Dynasty? Addison is probably on the cusp of like a back end first round pick, high end second round pick. He's one of those guys where he's good enough that you don't want to give up. You don't want to give him up for just a second round pick. You want a first round pick, but nobody will give you a first round pick for him. So he's kind of like in that weird limbo, and he's in that huge tier of wide receivers that you kind of just move, back and forth from depending on the play. But I would say relatively that's kind of what he's worth. What can I get for Jonathan Brooks? I can't hold him any longer. I'm in win now mode. Well, this is I just talked about going to the top of the standings. Now go to the bottom of the standings, right? Who's rebuilding that might want to take on a young asset, and what players do they have on that team? It's not necessarily about what players should I go after. It's more about what players are on teams that need help, right? So look at those bottom teams. Who's rebuilding that might want to take on a young running back? Do they have a Chris Godwin on that team? Do they have a Puka Nakua on that team who's about to come back and score points? Right. I mean, I was able to buy Puka in like 3 leagues because I wasn't contending, and there's a few teams that are contending that had Puka and they want points right now. Right. I bought Rashid Rice in 2 leagues because I'm not contending. So, I was able to get Rashid Rice. So yeah, look at the teams, look who those players, what players they have on those teams, and then attack it that way instead of just trying to say, I should go after this player or that player. It just depends on who's on those teams. Would you trade Brian Thomas and Chase Brown for McLaurin? No, no, I'm not doing that. I'd rather have Brian Thomas over Terry. Or if you're talking redraft, at least that's even. And then I'd rather have Chase Brown than nothing. So yeah. Are you talking why would you get Rashid? Yeah, well, we're talking Dynasty, Marlon. Tonight is the Dynasty Show. We talk redraft too. I mean, I'll answer any questions, redraft or Dynasty, doesn't matter. But specifically, I'm talking about Dynasty. Why we would be buying Rashid Rice, because there are teams that want points right now. So they're willing to give up Rashid Rice, who's a top 10 dynasty wide receiver when he's healthy. Obviously not going to play for the rest of the season, and people want points right now. Once we get to the off season, a lot of that is going to change. So yeah, so your question is redraft. No, I'm keeping Brian Thomas and Chase Brown. I'm not going out and getting Terry for that. I'm not going out and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. for that either. I'd rather just have Thomas and Chase Brown. Who has the leverage in a trade to win now? It all depends on the situation, man. All depends on the situation and what they're trying to do. What are they trying to do? If I'm a win now team, that's I'm going to the bottom teams and I'm looking, okay, who has Mike Evans, who has Chris Godwin, and you can that's kind of to your advantage where you have the leverage. Like, look, I'm not giving you a first for Mike Evans, but I'll give you a second and this. And if you say no, then you're just going to be stuck with Mike Evans on a team that's not winning, and you're not going to get nothing for him. He's only decreasing in value. So that would be like a situation where you kind of have the leverage where you can say maybe Mike Evans is worth a first, but is he really? Not really, not to savvy dynasty players anyway. But yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. But throw any last questions that you guys have in the chat. So I answer any last questions before I get up out of here for the night. I will put the Discord in the chat. The Discord is absolutely free. We've got, I think, almost 80 people in the Discord right now. And it's, like I said, totally free. We have, redraft questions, dynasty questions. We've got a couple different channels that you can kind of go in there. And we've got a betting channel also. So you can see, what people are betting for the day and for what games and players and all that. So, I mean, join the community. It's free. If I can't answer you, at least somebody else will. And you can get some different perspectives, even if you don't play Dynasty, even if you just play redraft. It's a good beginner's guide to Dynasty. You can see all the different values, the different strategies that we're looking at and trying to use depending on the format. So we try and break it all down in there. We have conversations in there daily. So join the Discord. Like I said, it's free. And throw any questions that you have in there. But other than that, I am out of here. Saturday night, we are typically on at 10 Eastern answering questions. This Saturday, I will not be on. We've got our co-host Hammer. His wedding is this weekend, so we will not be on this weekend. I'm headed to New York, so won't be here this weekend. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday and Saturday again as regularly scheduled. But yeah, appreciate all y'all, and we'll see y'all next week. Hit me up on Instagram. If you have any other questions, or just hop in the Discord. It's the easiest way. I'm usually answering all those questions first before anything else. So appreciate y'all. Smash that like, smash that subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all on the next one.